talk of Sioux Falls. 1140 KSOO.
407 here on the Talk of Sioux Falls, 1140 KSOO. And in the studio with us right now, Andrea Page. She has written a book called The Sioux Code Talkers of World War II, and it investigates and explains the role that Sioux Native Americans played in the war. The Navajo Code Talkers, of course, very famous, but this explores the Sioux tribe, Sioux members who were involved in that as well. Andrea, you have a book. You're on a kind of a book tour right now. You're going to be at the Downtown Holiday Inn tomorrow from 6:30 to 7:30. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So you are from New York. You grew up in Rochester, New York, but your great uncle was among the Code Talkers. How did you learn that story, and why did you want to write a book about it?
So one afternoon, we were sitting at my mom and dad's kitchen table, and they opened up their mail and received a newspaper article from a cousin who lives out here in South Dakota. And when my mom pulled out the newspaper article, she recognized her uncle, John Bear King, in the photo right away. And the article was all about, titled at the time, Lakota Code Talkers of World War II. Mm-hmm. And it was an interview with one of the surviving Code Talkers, Philip LeBlanc. It was a very interesting article. I'm a teacher, so I brought it into my classroom the next day to share the story. It was very interesting. And lo and behold, one of my colleagues knew all about the Code Talkers and explained what they were, because I had no idea
Wow.
what I was getting into. So that was the start. That was in 1994.
Oh, so you've been researching ever since then?
It's been a long time. It's been a wonderful journey.
So your book, Sioux Code Talkers of World War II, when has it just come out, or when did it come out?
It was released from Pelican Publishing on March 1st of this year.
So how's the reception been so far?
Oh, it's been awesome. It's in the second printing already. So,
oh, my.
Yeah.
So you're on basically a book tour of South Dakota, but you didn't grow up in South Dakota. What has that experience getting in touch with sort of the roots of your family been like?
Well, when I did the research in the book, I explored more deeply the Lakota culture and the values and the virtues. So my parents, my father was actually German from Germany, mm-hmm. and my mother was from here. We grew up in Rochester, New York, where they met and settled. So I knew about the values. They taught us that, right. But, just taking more time, learning more in depth, and that kind of helped me continue my journey in searching for information about the Code Talkers and why they did what they did.
We're here with Andrea Page on 1140 KSOO, and we're talking about her book, Sioux Code Talkers of World War II. And Andrea will be at the Downtown Library tomorrow from 6:30 to 7:30 if you want to meet her and find out more about the book, which is in its second printing with Penguin. Pelican, sorry. That's amazing. How did you, tell me something that you learned. You said you were doing all this research all these years. What did you learn that you just weren't expecting that really blew you away? Oh,
one of the pieces of evidence that I actually received from the tribal historian, I think that's her name, tribal archivist, Aloma Magaw was her name. She sent me documents in the mail, and I opened one up one day and actually found out that this troop, the 302nd Reconnaissance Troop of the 1st Cavalry Division, which is the troop that the Code Talkers were in, actually helped rescue mm-hmm. the prisoners of war in Manila in the Santo Tomas University. And I kind of had an inkling of it, but I didn't know that for sure until I saw this article. And I just burst into tears because it was just something that was so wonderful to find out that they, were a part of this rescue effort.
Very interesting. So what did they explain to people what they did when they went with these units, these troops?
So they were reconnaissance troops, so they actually did a lot of movement behind the enemy lines. There were, from what I found out, there were a few behind the enemy lines trying to find the Japanese soldiers, check the condition. Were they starving or were they in, good condition? How many there were. And they'd send that message back over the radio waves in their Lakota language or Dakota language, one of the dialects. And then whoever was at headquarters would translate the message for the generals, and then they'd send the message back telling them what to do.
That's amazing, because you don't think about that. You think about them using Lakota or Dakota as a code, but not that they had to be out in the field with the reconnaissance units finding out the secrets to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
Yep. Always working behind the enemy line.
Andrea Page, her book, Sioux Code Talkers of World War II, is out, and probably, where do I get it? Just Amazon, all the regular places?
Yeah, Amazon, the publishing company, Barnes & Noble, I don't know what's around here, Books A Million or Powell's.
Right.
Any of the bookstores you can order it online.
Barnes & Noble is, we have one over at 41st and Louis, so you can go over there. And you will be downtown tomorrow night from 6:30 to 7:30, meeting people, signing books, that sort of thing, I bet.
Right. Yep.
And where are you off to next?
We're going to be here in Sioux Falls until then, and then we're going to head out to Rapid City to go do some exploring out there. My husband's here for the first time in South Dakota, so he gets to see everything that we've been talking about in our family.
That's great. How's the trip been for everybody?
It's been awesome. The weather's great so far. Everything's going well.
Because you drove down because where was your great uncle from?
Standing Rock Sioux Reservation. So we flew into Bismarck and then came down to Mobridge, and then we came down here. So.
Well, Andrea Page, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. This was really a special treat. So never done this before. So
Wonderful.
It's exciting.
That's great. We will be right back with Tia Miller-Ryan from the Outdoor Campus. This is the Patrick Lalley Show on 1140 KSOO.